He says, "Hey Tina, what's the difference between faith and trust? I've always wanted you guys to have a philosophy article on that."
I'm glad he asked you that one.
Um,
That's
so
a good question.
yeah, faith is something I've studied for a while now. And really it's because like I always have been fascinated by the verse that says, the just shall live by faith. And what does that mean to live by faith? Yes, it is there. Trust is definitely a part of that. Trust is basically where, um, you know, you you believe, what the words of somebody else, and that is in essence what faith is. But faith, I think, goes a little bit further, in that I feel like trust is something that happens in your heart, but faith is something that also is not just in your heart, but in your life and in your actions. Um, like, for example, when it's saying the just shall live by faith, it's a living faith. The Bible talks about, a living faith. And so faith is taking God at his word, believing that it is true. It is trusting that it's true, but it takes it to the next level in that it then lives out what it believes, and trusts in your heart. So, it's not just, belief and hearsay. It's like, it's something that you take into action. And I can't help but think of what is the verse in James? I believe it's chapter. Oh, let me look it up really
Two?
quick. Yeah, I think it is James chapter 2. I think you know exactly where I'm going. James chapter 2, where he's talking about, faith without works is dead. And he says, what in verse 14, what does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works, can faith save him? He says, if somebody's, brother or sister is naked and destitute of fruit, and one of them says food and says, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, but you don't give them those things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? But also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. And so, as it keeps going, it says, but someone will say, you have faith and I have works. He says, show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. So what I do is a manifestation of the faith I have in my heart, of, that trust and belief in God's word in my heart. And I love the verse where he goes on to say, basically, in verse 19, he says, you believe that there is one God. You do well. You trust God's word. It says, oh yeah, there's one God. It says, but even the demons believe and tremble. So it's not enough to just believe something or trust something in your heart. It's something that has to be lived out. And so that, I think that's where I see the difference between faith and trust. Like, trust is something you understand in your mind, but faith is something you take into your life, and it flows out into every aspect of your being, your life, what you do, and every word you say, every thought you think, every action you take. That's where faith, I think, becomes it's something more action packed, for lack of a better phrase. So that's what I would say is the difference between those two.